Well, hello there, chaps and chapadesses. Welcome to my channel, doing all kinds of stuff, or decks as I like to call it. No, not that one. That's better. Sorry about the poor quality, but you get the gist. I'll do something better later. So, what's my channel all about? Basically, me doing whatever takes me fancy, whether it be in metalwork, woodwork, plastics, anything like that, projects around a house, and just being creative in general, and hopefully inspiring a few people along the way. Now, obviously, to kick things off, I will be making from these to this, and all for 75 quid. Not too shabby. Now, for those who aren't interested in the groundwork, if you skip ahead to 238, you'll get to the nitty gritty of me making it. But for me, I was just going to basically lay down some dense concrete blocks for it to sit on. But unfortunately for me, it wasn't that easy. Yep, I had a big tree in the way, and unfortunately, my water main was right in the root system, right where that plastic bag is. But I managed to get it out with a bit of elbow grease, and that's a communal path that the actual roots were going under, which was a bit difficult. And I built a retaining wall and put up a fence, also made out of pallet wood. And as you can see, the dense concrete blocks are laid flat, whacked a bit of cement in there, and levelled them all off. Now my soil is very dense, very clayey, so I didn't really need much of cement to go underneath them. But they all got levelled off quite nicely, and those beams are also from pallets. Now, to stop any water from laying underneath there, I dug a channel and filled it with a bit of sand, got a bit of guttering, laid it in, and got a little nice drain away going. And I tapped it all down so it was sloping away from it. I've actually got a drainage system further ahead, and I'll show you again in a later video. You can see it going into there. There's a little gravel pit that goes away. And to make sure the water goes into it, I tapped it off. Again, as you can see, it's very heavy clay, so got a bit of wood, just tapped it down, sloping down, and filled it in with gravel to level it all off. So that is what my shed will be sitting on. And with any luck, it will keep as much moisture away from the base as possible, and any water that does happen to seep underneath the shed will be drained away. And as you can see on my retaining wall, there's also a small hole to drain any water away from there as well. Now, these beams, like I said, I got from the base of pallets. They're all about 4x2s, roughly, but they're all the same size, which is the important thing. And they're spaced apart around about half a metre or 19.5 inches. The base construction is quite simple. The boards from the pallets I've spread across 2 or 3 at a time and put together just like any normal flooring. The size of the base is 3.4 meters by 1.2, or 134 inches by about 47.5. I know it's weird sizing, but I basically did it to the size of pallets that I had. They all came in about 1.2 meter sort of sizes. Saying that, I was actually quite fortunate to get 2 rather large pallets that spanned the whole length of the back. As you can see there. Now, the supporting beams for them was about 2 inches by about 1.5 inches, which don't sound too sturdy, but when you're considering the beams going straight across, it didn't turn out too badly. And if you don't manage to find big pallets, you can always crisscross them like you did with the base. And I also put some lining felt underneath, not the heavy duty stuff, just the thin stuff, about 15 meters for about 30 quid. Now, to make the structure a little bit more watertight, I cut a 45-degree angle off both edges, angled them down to stop any water ingress, and I put a bit of bead of silicone in between each one. Slotted them all together and nailed them all together. Nice and easy. Got some pound shop stain and wood preservative, whacked that on, and got some guttering hooks to put on the back. I stood the whole thing up, which was extremely heavy, got it all up, and it turned out really nicely. Now, all the other panels are made pretty much the same sort of construction, 45-degree angle cut off, bead of silicone, the lining felt underneath them, and stood them up. Now I put some bracing bars across just to support them. The front is about 1.8 meters and the back is about 1.6, so got a nice drop on it. So it's not a massively tall shed, but it fits my area quite nicely. Another temporary bracing bar as I was putting up the lining felt. I put a beam going across the two. I actually made a frame for the side so it can, in theory, be collapsed if I need to. As you can see them overlapping, and built in the same construction. 45-degree angle, bead of silicon. These boards actually sit inside the other two boards, and yeah, overlap the felt. Try and whiz through this as quick as possible to try and not make it too long a video. Now the front boards overlap the base so that the water drips on the outside and doesn't ingress into the structure. Cut it down to fill it all in, stained it, and it's looking quite nice. Now the view from the inside at the moment is looking again quite nice. The felt is doing quite well. Got some scrap guttering. This is just normal house guttering. Got a nice slope on the back, and yes, I did test it beforehand. All the other panels again made in the same sort of construction, but this one I managed to get a scrap window, just an old single pane window. Again, cut 45 degrees, put beads of silicone everywhere I could think to try and seal it all up, make sure it doesn't leak anywhere. Cut the joints as best as I can to fit them, slotted them all in. Cut the felt on the inside, and I had bracing bars on it while I was actually putting it together to try and keep it as square as possible. And again, pound shop stain, and some bracing bars to hold it up, again square as possible. And there's a front done, and as you can see, that gap is going to be where the door goes. Now the furthest side, again same construction. I'm not going to bore you with it all over again. Slot that in, and again I made it with its own independent frame to make it all collapsible if needed. Now I also got some pound shop L brackets to secure it to the base because it's still loose effectively, although the weight of it is not going anywhere. And now this is the crucial bit. I actually got some more pallet wood on the inside, started cladding the inside to make a little cavity, as you can see there. Now the base I actually screwed in rather than nailed in. Again, if I need ever to remove it and dismantle it, I can unscrew the base and unscrew those L brackets. But this, I mean, the amount of pallets I had to split apart to get the amount of wood to do both sides is just incredible. But it was well worth doing. As you can see, I'm slowly building it up bit by bit. I mean, it's not hugely essential that you actually crisscross the wood if you don't have to. I've got some bracing bars again just to keep it as square as possible. And there I was just carrying the line straight up. I wasn't really bothering to go over like I did at the base. It's not really structural per se. I'll try and whiz through this as quickly as possible. You'll kind of get the gist of how to put it all together, I'm sure. Around the window, I literally was just trying to sandwich the felt in between wood to try and again stop any water ingress as much as possible. And it looks really nice. I'm well pleased with how it's all going. As you can see, all around the window as much as possible, sandwich the felt in to seal it all up. I had to actually put some extra putty round it to hold the glass in because where it was second hand it was all crumbling. So there you have the inside pretty much done. It's quite tight round here, as you can. This is the gap between my shed and my fence, and where my retaining wall is, so it's quite tight. Now on the edges, as you can see, the wood sits in there, and it probably would be alright, especially with a felt in, but I thought it'd be best to do these, which are the corner pieces. I stained the inside, and then I also stained the outside just to try and make longevity. I don't want to have to be doing all this again. And I also put a board of wood across there because obviously I've got the drainage hole going through the retaining wall, so I do hope to slide things down there to store stuff. I don't want them getting obstructing the waterway. Now, doing the roof, I just did a framework. Actually managed to get some scrap chipboard. It's actually sterling board, external plywood for the roof. Put some edging on it. I actually put thicker edging at the back, again from the base of pallets, so that it would drip quite nicely into the guttering. Whack that all together. I had some leftover of the thin lining felt, so I thought I'd whack that on. And then I had some more wood left over, so I thought I'd clad the wood over again. Cut it all down and put a trim all the way around the outside to make sure the water drips off it. And because I saved all that money, I actually bought some real decent roofing felt. Supposed to last 15 years, but yeah, we'll see. And now it's all coming together quite nicely. You can also find pallet wood that actually is plywood, not the best as you can see, but it will do the job for the door. And especially I've got some thick wood to go around it. Now, because I'm cladding it with the wood, I had to bend the hinges, and you can't quite see very well. I've got very little space in my garden at the moment. It's quite a bit of a building site, as you can imagine. And I put some felt obviously in between the wood and the plywood. Got some real heavy duty bits of wood to support the back and try and pull that plywood because it was warped quite badly. And screwed and nailed it all together as best as possible. And again, construction for the front, the cladding of it, 45 degree, and a bit of silicone, pull it all together, and it actually covers the hinges quite nicely. And that's from the inside, nice strong sturdy door. And there you have it, one shed made completely out of pallet wood, and that is one of the best sheds that I have ever had. I've owned shop bought pre-built ones, I've owned out of wood, metal, I even tried doing one out of sterling board, which is what part of the roof is made out of, and nothing compares to it. It was a lot of work, but it's well worth it, and all for 75 quid. You just can't beat it. And the main cost of that was the felt, which you could have potentially done without the lining felt if you made sure that the 45 degrees were cut pretty well and slotted together quite neatly. All the other cost was screws, nails, and everything that I pretty much got from Pound Shop. There's some of the pallets that I used to strip apart, and as you can see, some plywood. And that tree, oh, nightmare that tree was trying to get out. But yeah, I hope you liked what you saw. I hope I didn't gloss over too much and go too quickly, and you got the gist of pretty much how to do it. If you got any questions, I'll try and answer them as much as possible. And well, thank you very much for watching. Hope that has inspired a few of you to think a little bit outside the box and not necessarily take things for granted. If things don't fit that you can buy, do it yourself, and it doesn't have to cost an absolute fortune. Well, thanks ever so much for watching.